Peace, family. I know you all can definitely hear me. Um, we are waiting for our guest to actually arrive, and before we get it, as we're waiting for him to arrive, what we're doing is I want to go over these announcements, brothers and sisters. So you see here what we have. We have our brother Rizza Islam. If you've been on social media, you know about the great work that our brother does. And we're waiting for him and we'll definitely get started. But in the meantime, what we're going to do, we're going to get to some of these upcoming announcements that we actually have here that's going to be taking place. So let me get this sound right. So first thing what we want to say is in regards to our reason for doing this particular I Have a Testimony series, right? The reason why we actually do these. And the reason why we actually do these is because we want to help people to get an understanding of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So this is an excerpt from a letter that the minister wrote to President George Bush Jr. And in the letter, the minister talks about, he says, I write you from my prison, a prison without bars that has been made for me because of the passion for truth and justice out of which I speak, and the propaganda that makes me appear to many as anti-white, anti-Christian, anti-Semitic, anti-gay. None of these names accurately describe who I am. I hope that you will open your heart to what I am writing, notwithstanding the prison from which I am writing. And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan talks about a prison that he is in, not physically a physical prison, but the prison of propaganda. And it's because this media has intentions and not the best intentions to paint the minister as being all of these anti things. This is the power of these testimonies. In the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's historic address on yesterday, whenever he started talking, asking those or pointing out to those who are around him, he said, when you are around me in our private moments, have you ever heard me wish harm or say anything evil as it relates to wishing death upon Jewish people? And he did that. And this is why it is important for people to testify, to let people know that the way that this man is in public, he's the same way also in private, right? And we did a survey. And as I showed on previous shows, 90% of the people who took the survey talk about the benefit that these testimonies are having on their life as a believer and on their faith. You see that 95% said it's helped them in their faith and it's helped them as a believer. You see to the right, have the testimonies help you to gain a greater understanding of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan? 90.2% said that it has helped them. So these testimonies are important. And so there's so many people that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has touched, brothers and sisters. And so if you have a testimony where you have had an encounter with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan or something that he has done for your family or something like that, we want to hear about it. We want to hear about it, brothers and sisters. We definitely want to hear about your particular testimony. So don't stop. Don't be afraid to share what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has done for you. Then we want to get here. This is one of the comments from the people who were given the actual testimony. So it says the testimonies give a more intimate and personal look inside the life of the minister Farrakhan. You can actually read it and see, and see what it talks about, how this person has benefited from the actual testimony. But it talks about, say beyond the rostrum, how the testimonies speak deeper to the deeper of the love he embodies by his acts of kindness, his compassion, charitable heart, and the countless one-on-one talks of guidance and wisdom he gives that others otherwise I would not be privy to. This is not my statement. This is from somebody who actually commented on the survey. So we want to ask each of you all also to subscribe to our videos, to our YouTube channel as Miles number 46, and even on Instagram. Make sure you subscribe. And I'm going to tell you why this is important for you to subscribe. On our YouTube page, we have a playlist that is a growing playlist. You see it is titled, it's a playlist, Proof Farrakhan Isn't an Anti-Semite playlist. And how I use this playlist when I'm on social media, when you find people talking about the ministers, anti-Semite and all of this stuff, what I realized, brothers and sisters, that many of those people have never really heard the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for themselves. Many of them are only going off of sound bites. So those same sound bites that the media takes out of proportion, we have found those sound bites and put them in its full context. And we found other parts that the media doesn't talk about as well. So what we have done is we're compiling what we have done, and inshallah, what we're going to continue to do. We're going to continue to have these playlists. Like with Chelsea Handler, I went on her Twitter page and posted this playlist. And Puff Daddy, when they was getting him feedback about running the program from yesterday, post this, because they can't argue with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's verse of what he actually said about the Jewish community, about members of the Jewish community. So post it when you post it on your page, send it to your family member. And guess what? We don't always have to wait until they attack the minister to begin to start posting these. Start posting them ahead of time so we can give people the antidote before they get the poison. This is another one that we're now starting to increase. I've been working. This is what I've been doing pretty much. I've been on the computer a lot during this COVID, and this is some of the things that I've been doing. When it says he killed Malcolm X playlist, and here we have excerpts, and most of the excerpts you see, the longest one on here is like 3 minutes, where the minister is talking about some very key things, because many people, brothers and sisters, very few of them, if you saw the young brother DC Fly yesterday, he was like, man, I listened to Minister Farrakhan. That boy long-winded. Most of our people are not going to sit through the 3-4 hour lectures, at this moment of their stage of development. Eventually they will. But in the meantime, we can begin to start bringing this to them. So you go to our page, subscribe to our YouTube page. We're constantly putting more material up there for your study and for your own personal growth. But share this. We can, there's so many, we have so many weapons that we can actually use now, brothers and sisters, to fight this lie about that they're putting out about our brother, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. We're still waiting on our guests to come. So I'm going over these announcements. Here we get, if you need us to pray for you, right? People have submitted names, they've emailed us, they've inboxed us. Send us names so we can pray for you during this COVID and outside of this COVID. So we have a group of believers in our mosque that we mention the name of the person that has been submitted, that we pray on their behalf. So definitely go ahead and actually to do that. Then we're in the process of, brothers and sisters, of raising money to pay off our mosque mortgage here in the city of New Orleans, in the state of Louisiana. So you can go on Cash App, whatever you did. If we got 163 people, if we got 163,000 people give us $1, we'll pay off our mortgage. But we're trying to get 163 people to give $1,000 donation, and we'll pay off our mortgage. Now you may say, I don't have that. But whatever it is that you have to give, you can give. And maybe you may not have it, but let me ask you this. How many of that 163 people we're trying to get that you may know, how many people you may know that have $1,000 that may be able to actually contribute to our cause? So go ahead and share it, Go ahead and share it. Can you hold on for 1 second, brothers and sisters? Let me get this. They're needing get this stuff for our brother Rizza Islam. So we go here. So that's something else that you actually have as well that you can actually see. Let me get this. You can actually see. 1 second. 1 second. Let me get this right fast. Okay, we'll be right back to that, family. One second, I gotta get this. Seeing the behind the scenes work. I'll be right back to those announcements and everything. But as I was saying, as it relates to our mosque mortgage, we would appreciate whatever it is that you can actually give. We would greatly appreciate it. Okay, got that. Let me get back to you all. We're here on the Zoom. Let me get back to you all. Get back to, here we go. Back to this. So we talked about, let me go back to where we were. So I talked about our mom's mortgage. And as I said, you can go on PayPal and make contributions. And you can go on our website that has it too. Now, on the inshallah, on this coming Tuesday, this is what we actually have. We have our brother who's one of our scholars here in the Nation of Islam. You familiar with him, Brother Dimitri, who wrote a book which the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan mentioned during actual Savior's Day. And we're going to have an interview. Everybody in the Nation of Islam should have a copy of this book, family. We should definitely have a copy of this book. And in having a copy of this book is so significant because this is the first time where we as a nation have actually wrote about this history with the Nation of Islam and Malcolm X. A lot of people talk about it, but a lot of times you'll be amazed how little input that they actually have from us. So inshallah, on this coming Tuesday, myself and Brother Dimitri will be on. We're gonna give about 2 hours for this. And with this 2 hours, what we're going to do, maybe the last hour or so, we're gonna take some questions, but make sure you spread the word and make sure you're on yourself. And so next week, may be the will of Allah. Y'all see that brother? Who's that brother? We got our guesses. We see we're gonna have our brother, none other than the great brother Dr. Wesley Muhammad. This is gonna be inshallah on next Sunday. Next Sunday, the same time. So now our brother has just logged on, and so we're gonna get to this. Let me go back. So we have our brother, and as I said, if you've been on social media, you know about the work of this young man that we are about to bring on, right? There he is. I see you, Brother Rizza. Like that.
Yes,
I see you. There he is. All right, so, and I want to give a shout out before we get started. Brother Desmond is our brother. Brother Desmond is the brother behind the board. Brother Desmond's been helping me out. So I thank you, Brother Desmond, and thank you, Brother Rizza. So I know you all over the country, man.
No problem, my dear brother.
You're on the West Coast, huh?
Looking, Brother Rizza.
Alaikum salam, beloved.
Yes, sir. I'll be helping you all behind the scenes. I'm gonna get off camera and let you all do your thing.
He's gonna handle that. And we thank all of the people that we have watched. I see our brother Frank Johnson is watching. I see other believers, and we're gonna get into it. So, Brother Rizza, man, like I said, can't thank you enough, man. Before the first question, let me ask you this. What were your thoughts about the minister's lecture on yesterday?
Brother, I'm still high right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still high right now, brother, off of what he was saying. I watched it again, as you know, usually believers, how we do, we watch it at least twice, at least minimum, to get through. Some of us watch it 3 or 4 times, but brother, the message not only was on time, as it always is, but it was refreshing. It was calming to most people. Most of the people who follow my networks were saying he confirmed, validated, and addressed everything that they were feeling, everything, and then some. And I'm talking about people who are in their 30s and younger, 20s, teens, and they were just like, man, I never knew someone could address all of what's going on with such clarity. It made sense. It made me feel good. I understood it. You know, I didn't know we had a leader, you know, like that, like a Malcolm or, you know, or Martin Luther King. I didn't even know that he existed, but it was so much, brother. So I'm overwhelmed, you know, with a beautiful feeling, because I'm just to know that we follow this man. We follow the man at this time. It blows my mind, brother, to read the scriptures and to see them come to life right in front of your face is a beautiful thing.
And I like what you just said about reading the scriptures, and that's why we actually have you on here. I don't know if you had the opportunity to hear it, but the reason why we've been doing these testimonies, Brother Riz, is because, you know, the minister wrote to President George Bush, and he said that he was in a prison. He's in a prison of propaganda, false propaganda. And the Bible says that if it were not for the blood of the Lamb and the power of their testimony, not his testimony, their testimony said that Satan, the dragon, was defeated. So everybody that we're bringing on is just for that purpose, because in our testimony, it helps to free the minister in the minds, in the prisons of people's minds, right? And so
Yes.
before this is why I went there. So we're going to get to the questions. Here's the first question. Prior to you accepting, if you could give the viewing audience a brief tidbit of your history prior to you accepting Islam.
Yes, sir. Well, interestingly enough, and this is what a lot of people have recently come to realize, beloved, I was born in the Nation of Islam.
See,
That's
wow.
that's what's interesting. A lot of people don't know that my last name literally is Islam. I was born with the last name Islam. My mother's last name is Islam. All of my siblings, Islam. And it was Muhammad Mosque number 54, Compton, California, where that was the first mosque that my family was going to. And I learned how to pray, brother. Fajr prayer was the first prayer, of course, that we learned, but I learned that in Arabic long before I knew what I was saying in English. Okay, I was praying 5 times a day, making an ablution. I was praying on the rug with a compass on the rug. All of this when I was 2, 3, 4 years old. I didn't even know what I was saying, you know. And this is how I was raised in Compton, California. So that's just a piece of it. But as it does happen at times in families who were born in Islam, sometimes the children feel as though they are missing something in the world. So that curiosity pulls you into the world. And so I'd say around the age of 7 or 8 is when we weren't going to the mosque. You know, most of my siblings were older, so they left and they went off in different parts of the country. And my stepfather, who was the one that brought our family into Islam, he was arrested, went to jail. So once the father is removed from the home, that foundation, of course, is somewhat collapsed. And so we all went our separate ways. And I was with my mother. And we ended up going into the Christian church, I say around, I was about maybe 9 or 10. And that was a Baptist church. And that's my father, Reverend Alfred Johnson. He's the Baptist minister. He became my stepfather. And that's when I went from the mosque into the Christian church. So I went from learning about the Holy Quran to learning the Bible at that point. And it wasn't until about the age of 23 or 24 that it became a full circle where I came back to the mosque. And that was Muhammad Mosque number 27, got back around the brothers, the sisters, you know, the believing family, etc. So that was my process, beloved. And a lot of people didn't know that, but yes, sir.
A lot of people. So and listen, and I'm one of those people who didn't know that, because I knew that Reverend Alfred is like being your father. And I thought, like, he's a preacher, Christian pastor. I thought that you were his son, and then when he started having contact with the nation, that's how you came in contact with the nation. But see, this is why telling our stories is so important, man. And I didn't know that. That's amazing, man. So while we're on that subject, as we mentioned, you mentioned our brother Reverend Alfred, and inshallah, one day I would like to get him on here as well. So you have witnessed the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan interact with people of different faith traditions, and your father being one. What have you noticed, or what have you observed as it relates to Reverend Alfred and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's relationship that you can share with others to show the heart of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan?
Beautiful question, brother. I'll say this. First off, my father, Reverend Alfred Johnson, refers to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan as his father. Make this very clear. This is a Baptist preacher, an ordained Baptist minister, grew up in the Christian church from the South. My father's from the South, Alabama, Mississippi. He's from the South. So he grew up in Christian church. And he grew up as a drummer in the church. He played sports. He went to UCLA. He played basketball. He played football. This man is far from what people would consider a Muslim, for those who don't understand what a Muslim is. And he refers to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan as his spiritual father, who when he sees the minister, he gives the greeting of Assalamu alaikum. When he calls me, he says, Assalamu alaikum, son, how you doing? Matter of fact, he says Assalamu alaikum more than any Christian preacher that I know. More than so, because he has an understanding of the spirituality. He knows the language. So the interaction between him and the minister is nothing less than divine, nothing less than of understanding and of true knowledge and wisdom, because he learns the actual facts about the language, about Jesus. What language did he speak? What were those words that they used? What were the descriptions that they used? Were they in English? Were they in Arabic or Aramaic or Hebrew? He learns that. And just like any responsible pastor who studies the Bible, but who wants to dig deeper into the history and understand the context and the language and where it really came from, his major in college, by the way, was in history. So he learned language. He learned biblical history in context, not only from the book, but how the book applies as it pertains to the times in history and the locations and the geography as well. So he understands that superior to the English is the Arabic, that Jesus was a black man. You know, he knows what that area is in Palestine. And when he sees the minister, he knows who he is looking at. And he's told me that many times. So the interaction is pure love. It's pure understanding, and he doesn't allow anyone to badmouth the minister. He doesn't allow anyone to speak negatively about Muslims. He wears a bow tie every time he comes to the mosque. Matter of fact, he wears a bow tie to most of the events that he speaks at today, because he understands what that means. You know, so I mean, and he's, like I said, y'all, he is a Baptist. You talking about Baptist where we playing the tambourines and the piano and the drums. All right, he's one of those Christians. So, and he knows and understands who the minister is. And so it is pure love, pure joy, and always happiness when he speaks about the minister, the nation, Muslims, Islam, all of it, all the way around, without losing who he is as a Christian, because he calls himself a Muslim Christian. That's another thing. So yeah, brother, that was a loaded question, brother. We gonna have a lot of stuff to say.
So that, man, you got more to share. Listen, this is the platform, man. Those stories, those testimonies, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yes, sir.
They're so powerful, brother. So don't hold back. Whatever Allah puts on your heart to do it, please do it. Now we'll go to the next question. You are a power, I'll say from my perspective, you are a powerhouse on social media, my brother. You're a powerhouse. I live here, we're in the city of New Orleans, and I know people that end up send me your videos. I'm like, yo, I know Brother Rizza, but you are touching people. You are touching people on social media. Can you explain, it's a two-part question, the power of social media as it relates to the work of resurrection, and how you begin to start, what inspired you to begin to start using it in that way?
Yes, sir. Beautiful questions, beloved, and all praise due to Allah. That's all I can say. Because this enemy created or helped to create in a modern form, because that technology or the internet was created by our Nigerian family and of course by us. So, but they allow us to use it in a way which I appreciate, but you know, they didn't realize what it is that we were doing with it, and now it's too late. Because we use it for resurrection, as you said. And what inspired me was that I was working in the community, as I still am. And I've been working in the community since I was about 11, 12 years old. And doing what I do in the community, working with people on drugs, people who need help with reading and writing, who have illiteracy, people who are on probation, people who are coming out of prison, people who have all these different circumstances, drug addiction, et cetera, et cetera. That is my work since I was 11 or 12 years old. The difference is, once I got onto social media, I noticed that when you are able to take what you do in the street and put it on the net and on social media, and to see it connect with other people and it actually become effective at helping people. I never thought social media would be effective at changing people the way you change people in real life. I never thought so, which is why I kind of looked down on it after a certain point. But once I noticed that it actually does create some change, it does actually help. It actually does have a purpose. You can touch people, change people, help people to resurrect them in stages and degrees. Once I saw the effect of it, I said, okay, well, let me see if I start talking about the teachings more. Let me see if I start talking about science and history and just breaking down things. And the Instagram type of thing that I did, which started in 2007, came from my genuine educating, which is what I was doing in schools for years, I said, how can I educate the people in my generation in 60 seconds? Because that's all they gave you back then on Instagram was 1 minute. So I said, how can I get, you know, and our attention span in this generation is so low, brother. You know, 60 seconds is like an hour to them. So I said, how can I put enough information as quickly as possible in as an understandable fashion as I can to where they'll get something, they'll like it, they'll appreciate it, they'll share it, and they'll help other people to learn. I said, all right, let me just do this. And I started by breaking down, I think one of the first videos was about Hollywood. And I broke down what that means, Hollywood, holly tree, what does it mean, et cetera, boom, boom, boom. When I saw the response from that, and I was wearing my bow tie, and I said, let me see if the enemy is gonna let me keep talking. And so I started going into the teachings, talking about the history, talking about all these different things and melanin, et cetera, et cetera. And I saw it catching on, and I said, wow, the people are learning. They said, well, who is Farrakhan? What's the nation about? And so I started guiding them to other videos. And I said, okay, so it is working. The people are becoming interested. They didn't know these things in this generation, is what I'm saying. Because believe it or not, beloved, they don't have everything that we have in the nation. We have virtually everything that we need handed to us. And that's what we kind of take it for granted, I would say. I did personally for a certain period of time where we literally were given this. And when we start to parse it and delve into it, we realize we have all the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, and we have to share it. But I didn't appreciate it to its core until I realized what simply a piece of it could do for other people and was doing for other people and resurrecting my generation at a young age. And so that is what inspired me to do it. It wasn't about money or being seen or nothing like that. I don't really care about that, but it started to take off. And I said, oh, okay, so you can become known for spreading the truth. You can become known for doing that. So I'd rather do that than do it for sports or do it for anything like that. I'd rather do it for this purpose because this is resurrecting the dead. So that's what inspired it, brother, was doing the work in real life, offline, and seeing what it could do online and how it could actually be effective at changing the hearts and the minds of the people and helping them to create a better future for themselves. That's what really inspired it.
Wow, that's something, man. That is, and brother, you are doing it, and you're doing it in a way. What I also like about what you do, brother Rizza, you do it in a way where you are Muslim, but you still have your own personality. You still show your viewers that I like to dance, I like to have fun. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes people see it, they think like we don't do anything like that. So I like the way you're doing that. Can you share, when was the first time you ever, like, when you actually met the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan? Can you share with us that experience and what was it about, how you felt, what stood out to you?
Oh man, let me say this to the believers who have not yet met the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I want you to hear it from your brother, because there are so many believers, beloved, who have been on the mission, brother. They have been carrying the paper. They have been resurrecting our people, fighting to remain a civilized person in the hells of the wilderness of North America. Sisters have been striving hard, brothers have been striving hard, and have never met the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan physically. But I will say this to those of you. I don't take for granted, and I want you to know that your brother is beyond humbled to be given such an honor at an early stage, because there are believers who have been working hard for 20, 30, 40 years and have not, and I recognize that and I know that. So I want them to be acknowledged, to know that, don't worry, don't even worry about that. Just keep striving hard, because I never thought that I would meet, to be honest with you, the minister in my lifetime. I didn't think that would happen, but it is, Allah has a way of doing things that are for his purpose. We plan and Allah plans, and Allah is the best of planners. So with that said, it was me being given the information about the MMR vaccine. The MMR vaccine, beloved, that came from a woman who was my tutor when I was 9 years old at the program that I was working at for years, called the World Literacy Crusade. It's a nonprofit literacy and drug rehabilitation center and social betterment organization. I was there as a student first, and by the time I was about 11 or 12 is when I started being a tutor and helping others. But there was a woman who brought me this information. She was my tutor when I was 9. She reached out to me in 2015, early 2015. And she said, Rizza, there is something happening with the Black community that these scientists are trying to get to the Black community, but no one in the Black community will take the information. And I said, what is it? You know, she said, well, you're the only person I thought of. I said, okay. She said, I have a number for you. I'm going to send the number to you. Call them ASAP. They're trying to get this information to you. The number she gave me was a woman by the name of Michelle Ford. And some of you may remember, she's the Caucasian woman who came on stage with us, I believe at 2016 or 2017 Holy Day of Atonement in Atlanta. And she said, I don't know you, but I was told that you're the person that can possibly get this information out in some form of newspaper, some form of article, some form of media, because none of the media wants to take it. When she explained to me about the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine and how the CDC intentionally was injecting this vaccine into Black boys, knowing that it was giving Black boys autism at the rate of 236% more than Caucasian boys. They knew the science, they saw the results, and they continued to do it. They hid the data, they intentionally kept the data away from the public, and they would not allow anyone to expose it. When she told me this, brother, I was at home and I sat on the floor, because hearing about the Tuskegee experiment is one thing, but living through it is another. And living through something this big that made the Tuskegee experiment look like a playground was horrific. So she said, there's another woman who's even closer to this subject that I want you to get in touch with, because she has been trying to get it to politicians. She's been going to the meetings and everything. Her name was Lucy Cole. She called me, gave me more detail. And after all of this, they said, can you set up a meeting to get us to this Black leader who you're talking about? Because I told them about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I said, there is only one Black leader that I know of who will be able and be willing to take on this knowledge that you have given me and bring it to the world, so that the people can finally know exactly what it is that this government is doing. I said, I know for a fact that once he gets a hold of this, he will take it and he will expose it to the world. I know that. And so they said, okay, if you are positive of this, we'd like to set up a meeting and bring Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I said, okay. I got a call. I called and set up the meeting. I called them right back and said, 1 week from today, Inglewood, California, I set up a meeting. I have called Minister Abdul Malik, formerly known Minister Tony Muhammad, who is the Western Regional Representative, my minister here in Los Angeles, and Mos 27, and I let him know. And he said, brother, wherever that meeting is, just let me know, I will be there. They brought Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Of course, my minister showed up, our Western Region representative, Dr. Brian Hooker, who was the one who was on the phone call with Dr. William Thompson, who was the senior lead scientist over the CDC's vaccine division. Dr. Brian Hooker is the one who recorded over 3 hours of the full confessional of the CDC scientists. He showed up. Christy Dane showed up, another, I think, independent researcher. Michelle Ford, one of the ombudsman general from Texas, Bishop Guillory. They all showed up, and we had a very intimate meeting where they played the audio. They went over a PowerPoint. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. laid out everything. He named every Black leader who he went to about this information. He gave them this information. They wouldn't accept it. He said, I went to the NAACP. I went to the Urban League. I went to this group, this organization, this organization. None of the Black organizations or groups wanted to take it. And he said, because the vast majority of them were being sponsored and funded by pharmaceutical companies. He laid it all out. And by the time he was done, tears were falling from my eyes, brother, because to know such evil that the minister continues to speak about, that he said the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said that we could not fathom, still existed in 2015, was unbelievable, beloved. It was unbelievable. But after that meeting, Brother Abdul Malik told them at the table, he said, listen, I'm going to get this information to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And his word was bond. He called the minister. He called me and said, the minister would like for you to be there, beloved, because you brought this to us. And he wants you to be there. And again, beloved, I never, like I said, never thought something like this would happen, but we are servants and we are serving our people. That is our sole purpose, is the resurrection of the dead and to deliver, the 40 million or more to the Lamb of God. And so we flew out there. Now, I'm walking everyone through this so you can have this information thoroughly. We flew out there, but on our way out there was a billionaire who wanted to show up. And this is public. He's in the photo and everything's public. Robert F. Kennedy showed up. The producer of the film called Trace Amounts, which was the documentary that came out before the documentary called Vaxxed. Trace Amounts was produced by someone named Eric Gladen. He was hit with a nail when he was outside doing construction, and he had to go get a tetanus shot, I believe, and that regressed his body into autism. A grown man, as a grown man. And he had to bring himself out of it through therapy for a number of years. And he started researching, and he found out the entire conspiracy of what this government has been doing through vaccines. And he created a full documentary that I recommend everyone go see, because that connects all of the money with everything dealing with vaccines. It's called Trace Amounts. He showed up. Robert F. Kennedy showed up. A billionaire by the name of Barry Siegel, Jewish man. And he wanted to be there. When we brought this information to the minister and we went to Chicago, blew my mind, beloved, because I'm just thinking, I was given this information and I'm trying to figure out where this is going because I'm nervous. I'm telling you, man, I was jumping out of my skin. Like, am I ready for this? But Allah's like, listen, you submit. That's it. So we walked in and the information was given. By the time it was finished, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan told Robert F. Kennedy, told that billionaire, told everyone at the table. He said, I am going to take this information and I'm going to broadcast it to the world at our 20th year anniversary of the Million Man March, Justice or Else 10-10-15. They all started crying because they said, you are the only Black leader who was willing to take this information and bring it to the people. And they could not believe it. Robert F. Kennedy said he had been trying to get this information to Black leaders for 2 years. 2 years, beloved. And in that time, they could have saved thousands of Black boys from having autism. And according to the words of Dr. William Thompson, he said, quote, if we would have admitted or revealed, this information at least 10 years earlier, we could have prevented at least 100,000 Black boys from having autism.
Wow.
So, that is when I first met the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, beloved, and I was forever changed just simply being in his presence, and if anyone sees my social media, it is a testament of that energy and the spirit that comes from him and him alone. Beloved, I can honestly say it because that fearlessness, that spirit, that God spirit, that spirit of Caleb, that spirit of Joshua, that spirit, brother, is not something you can rub off. Hey, that don't happen. Okay, you will do great things, regardless if you want to or not, because you have been touched by the one. And so I'm thankful sincerely to Allah that I was even brought to meet the man, sincerely. And it happened multiple times. But again, it was because of a horrific thing that was happening with our people. That knowledge was brought to me and we were able to get it to the minister. And potentially that has saved millions of lives as well.
Wow. And you mentioned that's going to lead into the next question. You talked about the courage and everything about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So you've had the opportunity to be around the minister on several occasions. And just like the point that you said, the minister in a lecture, I think it's called The Cycles of Life, where he said that proximity does not necessarily mean closeness. So you're right, just because people are around the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, that doesn't necessarily mean that they are close. And the minister gave with his example, he said he wasn't around the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad as much as others, but today is evidence that he had what many of them who were around the minister, the messenger, did not have. So I'm going to mention a few topics. I want you to scan your mind of what you may have observed, you've experienced from the minister, or what even your father may have shared with you about these different qualities of the minister. Like, what have you observed or heard or seen as it relates to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's love for humanity? You went, wait, you went mute.
Okay, there we go. Yes, sir.
Gotcha. Can you heard the question?
Yeah, I think his internet is slowing up a little bit.
So we'll see.
I'm going to put him in the waiting room and bring him back, okay?
They start talking about them vaccines, and they say, well, where you coming back on? Here we go. You coming back on.
Yeah, put him in the waiting room, bring him back on just so he could refresh.
All right. So yes, we thank you all. And I see that some people have sent questions. We're going to do our best to actually ask them. And for those, if you are just new to our I Have a Testimony series, you can go to our YouTube page, Mosque 46 AV, and you can actually see some of the past ones that we've actually done. We've done some with members of the actual security team of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. We did one with Brother Jesse, and inshallah, I'm giving y'all a heads up right now. Brother Jesse is coming on this one soon as well. We have some big names that are coming. We've done with Brother Sharif. We've done some sisters. We're trying to get our National Supreme Captain and National MGT Captain as well. We've been blessed to have our National National Secretary, Brother Saad. He actually was on. So we're hoping our brother Rizza gets back on. But we're talking about these actual testimonies, and so that people can get an understanding. And just like what Brother Rizza said as I was leading up to this question, to actually ask him to talk about most of those people, all of those people, with the exception of probably his father and Brother Tony at that time, who was known as Brother Tony at that time. These were Caucasian people that came to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to bring this information. But the minister is such a beautiful man, and this is what we are doing these testimonies for, to help people to get a better understanding. So I hope we didn't permanently lose our brother. Let me send him a text and let him know. Wonder if he knows he's cut off. A second. Hopefully it wasn't his battery. I know sometimes the batteries can go. So for those who are on, if you haven't had the opportunity to hear the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's lecture from off of yesterday, you can go to YouTube and you can check it out. You can go to our website, noi.org, as well to check it out and hear the message that you missed from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan as well. And for those who are actually coming on, we talked about we'll do another announcement regarding this, but inshallah on next Tuesday, we're going to have our brother Demetric, and we're going to be talking about this Malcolm X controversy, which is continuously being thrown in our faces. And what I'm noticing, brothers and sisters, is that a lot of people are not, okay, they're going to check and see about getting them back on. A lot of people have not really taken the time to do the necessary research to find out about this history of what has taken place with Malcolm X. So while our brother is doing this, I'm gonna share this back on while he's coming back on. And we appreciate your patience as we go through this technical difficulty. So what I'm talking about here, and I talk on, inshallah, on this coming Tuesday at 7:30. And our brother has done a well-documented body of work on this whole Malcolm X issue. So make sure you tune in, make sure you spread the word. And for those who may have missed it, inshallah, on next Sunday, we're going to have our brother Dr. Wesley Muhammad, and we're going to actually have him on as well. So we're waiting for our brother to actually make it back on, and we will actually see it. So one of the brothers asked a question. He talked about, let me see what Brother Frank Hughes said, fulfilling your purpose. With daycare centers and schools preparing to reopen, what can we do to protect our students from being forced to be injected with these vaccines? You know, in some, brother, you can, in the state of Louisiana, you have to go and see what state that you are actually in. There are states, they're trying to remove this disability and this right, though, brother Rizza, if he's able to get back on, he'll talk about this, but you have the ability to deny or say that you refuse to take these vaccines based upon religious reasons. And there's information that you can actually, he's coming back on now, we'll ask him to talk about that. There's information that, paperwork that you can download off of the internet that can talk about, you know, when the day is, brother, that you can talk about. Brother Rizza, you started talking about them vaccines, man. They had to get you off of here. so as I was saying, as we get to this, like, what have you noticed about the minister's love for humanity?
Yes, sir. I'll say this: being a humanitarian, where we have to work with, you know, different members of our human family, black, brown, red, yellow, etc. The minister, brother, anyone who has anything to say about the minister when it comes to the word hate, discrimination, when it comes to any of this, doesn't know the minister and clearly hasn't been watching anything. This man is the most loving, I'll say it this way. Michelle Ford, the Caucasian woman who brought me the information, and I'm highlighting the fact that she's Caucasian because this point is very relevant. She said, this man is the unifier. She said this in front of all the believers. She said, he is the unifier. She said, he is the bringer of peace. She said, this man is going to go down in history as the one who saved humanity. Those are the words from a Caucasian woman. And I can only validate that because all I've seen is that when he speaks of other people, of other nationalities, groups, etc., the only interaction I've seen is one of respect, utmost respect, one of patience, one of kindness, compassion, love, integrity. He's only treated others the way he himself wants to be treated. It is not until they bring hatred or vitriol and wickedness that he then must correct those things. But anyone and everyone should do the same. You must correct evil, wickedness, you know, devilishment. Those things must be corrected. But as far as him being a human being, a man of God, that's all I've ever seen him do was treat others the way he would like to be treated, and possibly even better than he wants to be treated.
It's true.
Possibly. I would say that because he has been mistreated by our people, including other people. And he has still given a blessing when he has been given a curse word. He's given love when he has been receiving hatred for so long. He continues to give mercy and give all of these beautiful things, the fruits of the Spirit, when he receives so many evil and wicked things spoken about him, thrown at him, etc. So I've only seen the true beauty of what people refer to as the love of Jesus, the love of God, the patience of a saint. All of these beautiful things, I've only seen him display those things. That's all I've seen when it comes to any human being, and that includes white people, because people get it twisted. When you admonish or correct white people, they think, oh, that means you hate them. No, it's like correcting your child. It don't mean you hate your child. It simply means they deserve correction. And whatever it is that they did that was wrong or negative, those things need to be addressed and corrected. But he does it out of pure love for himself and for all members of the human family. That is all I've ever noticed.
What would you say, when you think about your experiences with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, if you had to think about one or two of the most profound lessons that you learned from observing him or being with him, what would you say? Some of your most profound lessons, principles that you learned from him?
The first one that I will say, beloved, man, there's so many.
But please share.
Oh man, I'll say 3 specific descriptions. Love, and I'm going to give specific circumstances. Love, patience, and humility. The love that I have watched him display, particularly when I was around him, when I was sitting at his table, and he said, the first time I heard him say this, that we must love our people more than they hate themselves. Brother, I don't know who's on here who may have worked with our brothers and sisters who have been on drugs, our brothers and sisters who are illiterate and can't read and they're in their 30s, 40s, 50s or older, our brothers and sisters who have been murderers, who have been killers, who have been abusers of themselves, of women, of our community. It takes love to even be around that type of behavior and that type of grafted person, meaning that's not our nature to do those things. We have been made into that. But to be around something like that, you must have love. That is a requirement. You won't even be able to see them other than the description, the killer, the murderer, this. You won't be able to see that. The game banger, the liar, the dope seller. You can't see past that description unless you love them. I have witnessed this man have a conversation about our brothers and sisters who are gangbangers, because I'm from Compton, California. Most of my, well, not most, but I say about half of my siblings were active gang members. And when he delved into the love that he had for them, not for what they do or for what they've done, but the love enough for them to reach them, to bring them outside, to destroy the devil that was being put in them on the inside, but to add the love to them so that they can build on that and come back to the knowledge of who they are. Tears started falling from my eyes because that's my family, personally. That's the people I grew up with. And I couldn't find, I did not love some of the people I grew up with, because I was thinking, how could you do that? How could you sell to your mama? How could you sell to your brother? How could you sell drugs to your own daughter or your son? Like, what the hell is wrong with you? That's how I was thinking as a child. But this man explained how we were grafted into that, and I had never heard it broken down like that before. And I said, you have to be a man of God to have so much love, brother. Really, because I've experienced these things. So, and pardon your brother, man, for getting emotional, but it is very real. So the love aspect, one that I've seen personally, is for him to be able to look past our faults so deeply to where he's not excusing the negative, not at all, but he's explaining just how far out of sanity we have been pushed. Because I've seen some stuff that's so insane that you can't describe to me. The average person couldn't describe to me why the hell something like that would happen with our own people, doing it to our own people. No one could really explain that to me until he explained that to me. That's one. That's of love, and that helped me to increase the amount of love that I have for my people. Oh, yeah. And then I'll go into the patience circumstance that he gave to me, because he was describing this to me. This is another time. He was talking about, when he was talking to me and I was explaining to him about my generation and how we are the product of the product of the product of the product of not only this system, but of the parents of the parents of the parents who had been broken and manipulated by the system. So we're a product of two, right? And I said, brother minister, it's so hard because my generation is being attacked spiritually, mentally, socially, morally, emotionally, financially, agriculturally. We're being hit on all fronts, and I see it, and we're being overwhelmed every day through this thing that we call social media. And we're being programmed at a very intense rate. And he said, brother, this is cold, man. I'm telling you. It gave me chills, because I'm like, all right, see, you got to be connected spiritually to be able to point that out. I didn't say this to him, but he felt it in my spirit from across the table. It was crazy. This is when I started shaking. I said, okay, you know what? I'm about to have my thoughts real clear here and real clean, because this man can damn near hear what you're thinking. And I'm telling you, it blew my mind. He said, brother, you have to be more patient with your generation. I was like, man, because I was very impatient. Very. I said, I don't understand, brother minister. Like, they should be able to see. He said, brother, Allah has blessed you. Like you said, brother, he said he has blessed you with certain gifts. But your generation has that potential too. You have to be patient with their growth and continue to put the love above anything else. Keep the love at the top, because that is the only way you'll be able to barrel through all of the mountains of ignorance, the mountains of anger, the mountains of issues that are befalling your generation, because we are under attack constantly. So he said that to me, and it absolutely blew my mind, and it helped me to understand more of who this man is, because he was teaching me that although the enemy has allowed you to have this platform, and I absolutely recognize that this is the enemy's platform, Allah is helping you to use it for his purpose. And he was guiding me by being patient with me when I was being impatient with my generation. So I said, man, if he can show this type of patience to me, I have no right to even attempt to be impatient with my generation when I just got here 30 years ago, and he was doing this work double the time of my very existence. I don't have the right to be impatient, not even a little bit. So that was the second powerful experience directly next to him. The third, humility, is when I noticed and watched this man call out president after president after president after president, and was right and exact every single time. And he was attacked, vilified, spoken evil of, etc., etc. And he did not call down the God to do what he knows he has the power to do, but he has made demonstrations. He has called for certain things to happen, and his word was made bond, and the God made it happen. And for those of you who are listening, let's not get spooky here. You know, when you submit to the God within yourself, he says, ye are all gods, children of the Most High God, which means he also said that we made man in our image and likeness. And there are two different meanings to that in two different areas. But I would say for this side of it, the image and likeness, meaning God looks like us and we have the characteristics or the 99 attributes of Allah God. And when you submit to God more and more and more, he will help you to exercise the powers that he gave you by nature. I have witnessed the minister say something about the wheel, and I look in the sky and I see it right there. I have witnessed the minister call for rain, call for certain things to come down, and it happens. Now, this ain't nothing spooky. Again, the only reason why you would deem it to be spooky is, one, if you are programmed so heavily by the enemy, or two, you don't have enough love for yourself to realize that God has actually given you power and authority and abilities by nature that you can exercise if you submit to him. I've witnessed it. You can't call me crazy. I'm a brother from Compton. Like, let's be real. I've seen it. I've seen it multiple times. But his humility to where he does not flex on us like that. He don't flex like he can. He just does it to show who he is. But that time is coming to an end now, to where, you know, again, we're living in that time where evil and Satan is being totally exposed. So he has to do his job. But I'm saying the times where I noticed he could have done a lot more. He could have done a lot more. And he was humble and patient and merciful and all the characteristics. And I'm just like, this is the one. He is that one. So I've witnessed it, brother. His humility, and by him displaying humility, has helped me to understand exactly how humble I must be. Because again, I just got here yesterday. I'm only 30, and he has been doing this work for twice the time of my very existence, and he has been consistent. So until I get to at least 80, I ain't got the right to flex nothing other than righteousness. And even then, I got to be careful.
Sure, man. I love, brother, the preciseness and the clarity of your thoughts and your expression. I love how you were able to mention those three qualities, and you gave actual things that you have seen. And see, that's,
Yes,
and I love it. We have three more questions, and this is one you can go in. You know, because you've been on the battlefield fighting this foolishness. I want you to speak about and equip believers and those who are supporters of the Nation of Islam, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, with information that can help them battle back this foolishness that people are saying when they're trying to say that the Nation of Islam has been bought over, compromised, overtaken by the Church of Scientology. Can you talk about, I know I'm piling a lot in this question. One, why the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan asked us to get to use Dianetics, and just address all of the BS that people are saying about the minister was paid $2 million and all of that stuff. You've heard it before.
Yes, sir. Beautiful question. And for someone who is not experienced in hearing this and prepping for this and having to go through it over and over again, beloved, it would be a loaded question. But for me, this is just, it's Sunday. It's another day. Yeah. Because this is why we must study, believers. And I'll say this, not just study, but be careful of who we're listening to, because the only reason why you would buckle or you would second guess the minister or you would second guess yourself is if you actually believe what they're saying, because you don't have the actual facts, because you refuse to study and find the truth yourself. I'll say this. I've studied, because we are taught in the Nation of Islam to learn the science and knowledge of everything, to master the science and knowledge of everything. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, seek knowledge from cradle to grave, even if you have to go to far off China. Only a slave master will tell you to read this book only and don't read anything else. Only a slave master talks like that. But you are to learn everything. So with that said, I've studied the technology of Scientology for over 15 years. To make this very clear, I studied the Bible and still studying the Bible, because you can never learn enough of the Bible. Still studying the Holy Quran, still studying sciences, still studying history, still studying everything. But in particularly when it comes to Scientology, I've studied this for over 15 years, and I haven't heard or found one word of what any of these individuals on the internet are talking about. Haven't found racism in it, haven't found hatred in it, haven't found any of the insanity in it, that or Dianetics. Now, Scientology means the study of knowledge, or the study of knowing how to know. Skio and ology. Scientology is not science-ology. Science-ology is the study of science. Scientology is the study of knowledge, again, or the study of knowing how to know, or even a deeper meaning that they have in their books is the study of the spirit in relationship to itself and the physical universe. Okay, I don't mind studying that. If I'm studying the Bible, if I'm studying biology, chemistry, etc., I want to learn about everything else too. So, Dianetics means the study of the mind or the study of the soul. Okay, I'm not opposed to studying the mind or the soul, especially when you're dealing with Black folks whose minds have been messed up, white folks whose minds have messed up everyone else's, and you are looking at the insanity and the mental issues that we're dealing with. We need to study the mind in multiple ways. Dianetics, the first page of Dianetics states that this is a study of over 50,000 years of thinking men, upon which Dianetics and Scientology could not be possible. The credit is theirs, not mine, end quote. That's L. Ron Hubbard. The Caucasian is younger than 7,000 years old. He hasn't been on our planet that long. L. Ron Hubbard continues to say in all of his writings, I got this from you. I learned this from the natives. I learned this from the African. This is your technology. I did not originate this. He is one of the only honest white men who has openly admitted, listen, this information I got from you, this is your stuff. I just put it in a way where the whole human family will accept it, because they're not going to accept it if it's just black this, black that, because we know how people are. He has even said in one of his books that the most evil of the Caucasians are the German and the American white man. He has delved into all this, and from my understanding, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad has said the same in Message to the Black Man. See, am I backing up L. Ron Hubbard? No, I'm speaking the truth. If a white man speaks the truth, do you think I care if it comes from a white man? It's the truth. And the truth is the truth. We have to mature past the skin color. But Dianetics, and particularly the minister, said, I saw something. When the minister says he sees something, he's not saying just physically. He's looking in the future. He's looking in steps, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. And what he saw in Dianetics, it doesn't mean, like I said, because Dianetics wasn't originated, or the study of the mind wasn't originated by a white man. So let's be clear. Okay, let's be very clear. The way the book was composited and composed, sure, was by a white man. But the information in that book is our information. And those who know about metaphysics and ancient Kemetic science and all of the historical sciences dealing with the mind from our brothers and sisters all the way in different tribes in Africa will realize when you read that book, oh, you'll see our technology, our information, our science all up and through that thing. So I do recommend everyone get that. But the minister said that he saw something that he knows we need. People misconstrued that to say he saw something from white folks and he needs to get something from white people to validate black people. Okay. You don't say that when you're using YouTube. You don't say that when you're using Zoom. You don't say that when you're looking at your iPhone. You don't say that when you're using your Galaxy. You don't say that when you're driving your Toyota or whatever American car, your Chevy. You don't say that when you're doing anything dealing with other inventions of white people, but you say that to speculate because a man of wisdom guided his believers to something that he said and believed and was absolutely factual about. We need it. Now, just because it was composited or put in paper by a white man, I'm not going to take it. Most of y'all with college degrees went to a college that was not founded by black people, nor is it sponsored and funded by black people, but you don't complain about that. You went to nursing school. You went to medical school. Most of your teachers are white or Jewish.
Come on now.
Martial arts classes, and you were trained by Jewish or white folks or Asians or Arabs. You don't complain about any of these things whatsoever. The stuff you eating right now, some of you eat crackers and cheese and tuna that was brought to you by white people. You go to white restaurants and all these things. But because a man had the wisdom to say a book about the mind was important enough for me to give to my believers because I saw that it was helpful. You call him wrong for guiding the people to learn about the mind when our minds are messed up? And the man who wrote the book said that white people have messed us up? Clearly you ain't read the book. Okay, so I recommend, again, when we're listening to things, be very mindful, because you must look at the person who it is that's talking. Be mindful to look at the example of those who are making these words and who are saying these things. Be mindful to look at them. Look at them. When I look at the minister, I see the example. He's 87, looking like he's in his 40s or 50s, who's retaining his knowledge. And again, he studied Dianetics. He did not sell out to Scientology. Let me just dead that point again. The minister has been offered billions upon billions. He's been offered the wealth of entire nations, from multiple Saudi Arab kings and princes to the entire wealth of Libya under Colonel Muammar Gaddafi. May Allah be pleased with our brother. He's been offered hundreds of billions, and to be very frank, to the tune of nearly trillions. If you look at the estimated value of the nations that have offered him bags of money that he told to go bring that money back, bags of gold that he said, go bring it back. We didn't come for money. We came to deliver the word of God. We came to bring our people back to the right knowledge and wisdom and understanding of who we are, and to bring us back to righteousness. He's been offered wealth upon wealth that people can't even count. So to say 2 million measly little dollars, are you serious? You serious? See, that's why, again, bro, that's why the nonsense on the internet, people get a couple so-called followers on the internet, which they're not your followers, because if you had over 100,000 and you tell all of them to meet you in one location and less than 30 show up, you ain't got no followers. So make that clear. You have the enemy system giving you this self-aggrandizing false sense of authority. I'm not no leader in the sense of I got the 450,000+ followers on my social media. No, I consider them family, or I consider them part family. Some of them are believers. A lot of them are agents. A lot of them are agent provocateurs and all these different people that I've never met and more than likely will never meet. So be mindful that when you hear people talk about Scientology, if you haven't gone in and asked questions to the Church of Scientology yourself, why are you even trying to create issues? Go talk to the white people yourself. Are you afraid of white people? Now you can't talk to them? See, that's the difference. I've studied it. And the minister didn't sell out with no 2 million. That's, again, like I said, that's I mean, man, you really must not know what you're talking about. Because 2 million ain't nothing. Just to be honest, yes. And he's turned down, like I said, billions upon billions. So the lie is really old, and people should stop circulating that.
And then now, brother, for evidence of witness bearing of the minister turning down money, Brother Sharif, in his lecture that he did in Chicago, which was transcribed into a book, in the book, he talks about how when they were in, I believe it was Nigeria, and they went into the hotel, there was bags of money. And the minister clearly saw that the government, whatever official was behind it, they left it there to try to compromise him. And he told the brothers around him, take that money back. So what you're saying,
that's
and then
right.
to the belief, this is why also, brothers and sisters, we got to get back into our supreme wisdom. In the writings of Master Farah Muhammad, listen to what he said. This comes from out of Rules of Instruction number 8. The time is right for us to reclaim our own. He's talking about our own. And listen to what he said our own is, which is knowledge, understanding, and a high civilization. So anytime you see us going anywhere acquiring knowledge, just like what Brother Rizza said, and he broke it down historically, we're not learning something from somebody else. It's ours that we are reclaiming, because we're taught that we taught them how to master the original man. Whatever they have learned, we taught them. So all we're doing now is say, listen, I loaned it to you. I'm coming back to get it. So,
come on.
2 more questions and we're going to close out. A brother asked this question: what advice would you give from your research and from talking to people who are skilled in this area as these children facilities and schools are starting to be reopened? What advice would you give to parents and those who are watching, that when they are faced with the dilemma, when the school system and other places of work want them to take the vaccinations, what could be what are some of their courses of action that they can take or we can take?
Yes, sir. First thing is, depending on what state you are in, meaning out of the 50 states in the United States, depending on which one you are in will let you know which exemptions you have. There are 3 exemptions, meaning 3 different forms or 3 different reasons that you can give the government or the school district so that your child will not be forced to take vaccinations. One of those is the medical exemption form. The other is the philosophical exemption form. The other is the religious exemption form. As of right now, California, Mississippi, and West Virginia are the only 3 states that do not have the religious. And I believe they worked on the other 2 as well. But for the other 47 states, they, for the vast majority, have all 3. So you'll have to look at whichever one of those is your reasoning, that you will be able to fill out the form, go to the Department of Health, pick that up. If it's not at the Department of Health, because some governments are a little tricky, they'll have it there, or they'll have it at the hospital or the clinic where you go, and you let the doctor or your nurse know that my child is exempt from these vaccinations on the basis of my religious belief or on the basis of our medical practices, because the vaccine has mercury in it, and you can let them know that it has mercury and that is very damaging. Or if you're a Muslim, the flu vaccine and other vaccines has porcine gelatin in it, which is extracted from the pig. And you can let them know the flu vaccine has porcine gelatin, or it has pork in it. And pork, that is against my religious belief. You can use the Bible in the book of, I believe, Yes, Leviticus, you can go into that, or you can use the Holy Quran if you're Muslim. You can delve into the multiple scriptures talking about how pork, even for us to touch the carcass of the pig, is against our religious belief. So they won't have an argument there. If you are a vegan, you can let them know that in the flu vaccine, it contains MDCK, maiden Darby canine kidney cell proteins, and that is an animal product, an animal derivative product. So if you're a vegan, you can say, on the basis of my medical, because it has this in it. And you can print this out. This is all on the CDC website on the ingredient list. You go down to the exact vaccine that they're saying, you click on the ingredients, you scroll through the ingredients, and you find the one that you absolutely say you do not agree with, and you can't let that be injected into your child. And then you present that to them so that you can get your exemption form. Or, of course, lastly, the philosophical belief, which you can just give them the reasoning as to why you feel it is against your way of living, your culture, etc. So there are many different ways you can do that, but those are the 3 exemption forms you want to use. If you need to get an attorney or a lawyer to also help you with that, I recommend you do that as well. But those are the easiest things to do, but they're forcing it, brother, to the parents. Don't crack under the pressure, because the school districts are highly ignorant. Most of the teachers are ignorant. Most of the doctors and nurses are ignorant. They really don't know the science of vaccines because they were never taught this in their colleges, believe it or not. In medical school, they are not taught about vaccines. They're not. They have 3 classes or 3 courses of studies that somewhat get around to talking a little about vaccines, and that is a course in immunology, microbiology, and pathology. They don't have an exact study going over vaccines alone. And because of that, they are strategically being made ignorant so that when they get to the point where they receive their degree, they take the Hippocratic Oath, etc., they then have to just push what the CDC says. And so they're given pamphlets from the CDC. So when parents ask questions, they are given a pamphlet by the doctor and they'll say, here's everything, vaccines are safe. If you look right here, it says all the studies are connected, and say no connection to autism and vaccines has been found, etc. Just lies upon lies. But I'll give something else really quick, beloved, for parents to research. There is, first thing, if the doctor or anyone tells you about your child getting vaccines, and they're in the medical field, number 1, ask them the informed consent. Ask for informed consent, which means they must give you all of the benefits to taking vaccines as well as the detriments. They must give you all the good and all the bad. They also must give you all of the alternatives to the medical model, the Western model, which is injecting you. If they can't give you that, then that is not informed consent. They must tell you about all the things that the Western medicine does, and then they must give you alternatives, which are naturopathic remedies. They must give you the herbalist way of doing things. They must give you they go down to chiropractic, naturopathic, all of that. That's full informed consent. If they don't give you all of those different things, they have not given you informed consent. They have given you a lie based off of what the CDC has been pushing and has been pressuring them to give you. And that is not how you practice medicine. Lastly, if they try to kick you out for you questioning them, that is called paternalism. And that is something that they learn in medical school that they are not supposed to do, which is to kick a patient out simply for refusing to accept a certain type of protocol or a certain solution that they give you, rather than simply giving you all of the information that you need to be given as a parent. So get your exemption forms, watch the film Vaxxed, watch the film Trace Amounts, and get a book called Miller's 400, also known as Miller's Review, which goes over at least 400 studies connecting vaccines to autism so that you will never have to go through that lie ever again.
Rizza, bro, you about to get I'm about to give you the name Rizza Facts Islam. Rizza becomes
Praise be to Allah.
So is there any, I know I only had a certain amount of questions, but is there any question that I may have not asked, or any information that you may have wanted to share about this as it relates to testifying about the minister that I didn't ask that you want to share at this moment before we get ready to close? I'll say this. For anyone who believes the minister has no influence at this time, and I'm just saying it because for those of us to hear that, we look at that as blasphemy. Like, are you serious? But there are some who think that this generation ain't listening. Let me make this very clear to y'all.
I have some of the biggest so-called celebrities, artists, rappers, etc., who call me personally, who message me personally, who get advice from me personally. After the minister's address yesterday, tons of them messaged me, called me, texted me, and said, brother, he made me feel better than I have ever felt in my life. Or, brother, Rizza, so many lies I've heard about this man. So many lies I've heard about this man. But what I heard was nothing like what I have been told about this man. He has given me all of what I needed, far more than what I thought I needed. I received answers to questions I didn't even know I had. He brought clarity to everything, from the thing happening with George Floyd to the coronavirus, to us as a people, to me being a Muslim, or me being Jewish, or me being a Christian. It makes me love my people more. I love myself more. I love my religious belief or my spirituality. I'm able to connect with my brothers and sisters more. And I cannot believe that it only took one message from this man, who I was told is a hater, who I was told was anti-Semitic, who I was told was anti-gay, who I was told was anti-black, even, who I was told was anti-Arab, who I was told was all these damn lies. He killed Malcolm. He did all that. I was told all this. And everything that man said yesterday not only was the truth, but it helped to transform me. I got calls from Hebrew Israelites yesterday. I got messages from the Moorish Science Temple yesterday. I got messages from multiple Christians yesterday, some Arabs yesterday, some white folk yesterday. All of them saying this. And I'm like, I don't know what y'all thinking, but people who are in their teens, 20s, and 30s, who are celebrities and artists, if you saw DC Young Fly talking about it, who's a major comedian right now, wilding out and all that, he was like, I don't know what y'all talking about. Minister the truth, Farrakhan the truth, power to the nation of Islam. I'm with it. That's it. He said, I'm gonna watch it again. Like, he's like, look, I'm watching it twice because of everything I heard. Him, all of them. So I want y'all to understand that. And when you see your brother Rizza Islam, don't ever get it twisted. I know who I belong to. Understand this. Don't let nobody talk and do all this nonsense here. No, we are from Farrakhan. I'm an FOI soldier in the Nation of Islam, period. Not above no authority, not above the structure. Because the only reason why I'm able to be where I am and how I am is because of the structure, and because of the example of the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, because of the supreme wisdom, because of the restrictive laws, because of our general orders, which has kept me alive personally. I want to make that clear. Boy, them general orders, if you know them, they will keep you alive, just like our captain says. So that is the only reason why Allah's blessing me, is because I'm following what we are all supposed to be following, which is the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and the example of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, our divine warner, teacher, and guide. Look up those three words so you can truly understand what they mean, because I don't make any of these moves until he gives us the instruction or until it comes down the line. I've stepped out before and thought I was doing something right out of ignorance, and it wasn't correct. And I've been corrected and have been able to back up and admit the correction, admit my wrong, and say, you know what, that was wrong. Let me fall under this area, see where it is, and dress up, cover down, and step back in the right direction. And we need to understand this man is being followed by far more than you can imagine.
Come on now.
White people, Jewish people, Muslims, Christians, black, white, red, and yellow, all follow him. I want to make it clear. So I just wanted to lay that on the table, beloved, so that everyone can understand. Do not get it twisted. You are in the right place. To be able to call yourself an FY and MGT is above calling yourself, and no shot at our brothers and sisters, but even they bear witness. It's above being able to call yourself a superstar, a celebrity, NFL this, NFL that, an actress this, international. None of it means anything anymore, because man of God is above all of that. Man or woman of God is above that. And really, frankly, the term Muslim, meaning one who submits his or her will to do the will of God, is above all other terms. And that is something that we are able to bear witness of today. So be proud to be an FOI and MGT, because the whole world is now looking at us to set the example for them.
Briefly, somebody asked a question. If you can briefly tell them, where can they go to see those documentaries, Vax and the other one that you mentioned?
Let's see, Vaxxed. I believe they took Vaxxed off of YouTube, I believe. But you can go to vaxxedthemovie.com to look at that. Trace Amounts is on YouTube. So I recommend you watch that one first. And I mean that, but the documentation is so well put together. Trace amounts. You definitely want to look at that. That's on YouTube. And you should order the movie Vaxxed. You can order the digital copy as well on vaxxedthemovie.com. And again, the book Miller's Review or Miller's 400. These are ammunition that you want to add to your arsenal for personal use as well as for use in the public, because the whole vaccine argument is now raging hotter and heavier now than ever before, especially with the minister bringing it out, heavier yesterday. Oh, people now, they're going to their whole propaganda machine trying to drum up stuff. We already know what it is. Monday, we're going to see all the different articles from the news, anti-Semitic, he's anti-pharmacology, anti-pharmaceuticals, whatever. So just get ready and prepared to be able to counter what this enemy comes out with.
Man, and thank you, brother, for taking a moment of your time. And you're so thorough, man. I love your responses. You're so thorough, and it's what is need. Now, for those who are watching, I need you all to do this. Can you leave some comments in the chat room later when you're watching this? What stood out to you from our brother's testimony? What part did you like? How did it help you? Don't worry about if you don't want to type a lot. Type whatever's on your heart. We want to know, how did this testimony help you? What was the benefit? What did you learn? What are the questions that you have? And we thank you, Brother Rizza, and I got to give a shout out to our Brother Desmond. We thank you too for Brother Desmond was pulling up the picture showing you what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He was
thank you, beloved.
Yes, sir. You will.
Man, thank you. And Brother Rizza, while we're on, you can tell everybody how they can get in contact with you, even for speaking engagements, if you can tell them how they can actually do that.
Yes, sir. Everything is at RizzaIslam.com. RizzaIslam.com. If you would like to order my book, it's called Message to the Millennials. That you can also find at RizzaIslam.com. My booking form is at RizzaIslam.com. I'd be honored to serve in whatever capacity for me to speak, or as our brother, Brother Student Minister Willie did here, which, you said I'm thorough, brother. No, brother, you are the reference wizard, brother. You go straight to the references on each point, and that's what I'm talking about. So I'm doing my best to keep up with you. So that's how you can find me. And again, also anywhere on social media, everything is under Rizza Islam. So I'm truly humbled. I'm honored, beloved, to even be on this platform with you. To our family out in New Orleans, I can't wait to get out there and soldier with you. Inshallah soon. Sure. Oh yeah, man. We got to shake it up one time. Definitely. And again, I'm just thankful to Allah, beloved. I'm thankful to be an FOI. I'm thankful to be under these teachings in this dispensation of time, in this part of history, to say that I truly believe that we are on the right side of history, brother. So I just thank Allah.
And what we'll do, I'll get a screenshot of your book and I'll post it on our social media and also post it on our page and encourage everybody to actually get on to actually watch it, man. We thank you, brother, for the work that you're doing, because now this is me saying this. In our lessons, when it talks about right down to the modern times, there ain't no mystery, God. That's people who are going to fulfill that. And I think yourself, brother Ben, our sister from Denver, her name escapes me right now. Oh, I just saw our sister from
Latasha Mama.
Sister Latasha, but not Sister Latasha. Also, there's another sister, Sister Vicky. All of the believers, like, listen, all of us who are using this modern technology, we're helping to fulfill that. Like when the minister mentioned about Chelsea Handling, what she did, I was telling somebody a lot of times we can't be so hard on the believers and we're not getting the word out. With this social media, it's believers posting about Minister Farrakhan. And I bet you if we were able to track, that's how Chelsea Handler found that video. A believer put that on. So
that's right.
Keep using this social media. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Keep doing whatever I can do to help you. We're here, and we definitely have to get you here in the city, inshallah, when it happens. So as we get ready to close, just want to go through these announcements again. So listen, as we're talking about social media, for those who just came on our page, Mars 46, YouTube, Mars 46 AV, we have playlists. If you don't know how to defend the minister about the charges of anti-Semitism, we have very short clips where the minister can defend himself. So subscribe to our YouTube page and you can see this, you can have access to this. And we're working on now building one to refute the stuff dealing with about we kill Malcolm. So we're not playing. We're coming. The minister said, throw a rock at Satan. We're throwing a rock at Satan. We're coming with his words that we don't need to rely on the media anymore. And inshallah, if you need somebody to pray for you and your family, send, you get the information here. Definitely send it. And we're talking about if you can share this flyer, we'll put it on our social media. We're trying to pay off our mosque mortgage so we can use that money that we're giving to a bank every month to begin to start doing more good. And also, inshallah, on this coming Tuesday, we're going to have Brother Dimitri on. It's not, I have a testimony. This is going to be strictly dealing with busting up the myths as it relates to Malcolm X. And inshallah, on next Sunday, we're going to have our brother Dr. Wesley Muhammad. So we're going to share that flyer. I'm going to come back and post the information about our brother's book. And we thank you all, brothers and sisters, and we ask that you all continue to keep tuning in. And as I said, please take some time, brothers and sisters, and leave some comments. What did you get from our brother Rizza? And Brother Rizza, I'll screenshot it and send it to you via inbox so you can actually have it. All right?
Yes, sir. Thank you, beloved.
Thank you, brother. Thank you also too, brother Desmond, for your help. Somebody also said this is. I'm giving some feedback. This is on Zoom. They said, I like the fact that he is truly a brother who loves his people, and he takes time to explain in detail. That's from Brother Sampson. Sister Brenda 7X. It was a wonderful testimony, detailed, sincere, and honest. And so we thank you. We thank you, my brother. I'll be sending you more. Thank you, and may Allah continue to bless each and every one of you all, because I know some of us are fasting this week. Assalamu alaikum.
Yes, sir. Wa alaikum salam.